Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. First up, we have to touch on this nonsense about the New Jersey Turnpike and these Tesla superchargers that are already built that are now being decommissioned so they can move all charging along this corridor to one company. Some of these Tesla supercharger sites are supposed to be decommissioned as soon as today. And the company that won this contract from the government to replace these superchargers, Apple Green Electric. As you can see by the map on their website, they have vast experience across North America. For my audio listeners, that was sarcasm because the map shows they only have a few locations in the northeast of the US. So look, this has already been covered at length. At the end of the day, it's only 64 stalls that are being decommissioned, and Tesla already built 116 new stalls effectively to replace these that are off the turnpike. So they've been getting ready for this day for the past 3 years. It sounds like Tesla offered everything it could to co-locate with this third-party charging, but they were not having it. The main reason I'm sharing this now is just two options to make our voices heard. Of course, Elon replied saying sounds like corruption, but Meyer and many others are now sharing you can boycott the New Jersey Turnpike by taking I-295 instead because they do run parallel. That would be option one. And two, I will have these links below, but Sierra put together the relevant contact information for the governor, Phil Murphy's office, as well as the New Jersey Department of Transportation and a boilerplate email blast. So I really just wanted to pass that idea and these resources along if you did want to call or email and let them know how you feel about this. Rohan, who used to work at Tesla, said this has been going on forever. The Go Apple Green monopoly is truly bad for consumers. And the kicker for why this is such an insane decision, Apple Green and the New Jersey Department of Transportation are now touting universal open access EV chargers, which are currently CCS1 chargers. And as we know, effectively everybody is transitioning to NACS. Tesla even went as far as offering to have both NACS and CCS1 natively for these locations. They said most of this transition would begin as soon as June 6th, and it'll take place through this fall. For what it's worth, Tesla does believe there might still be a world where this decision gets reversed, but personally, I am not optimistic. Of course, I could go on and on about how backwards this decision is and how it makes no sense to remove working, reliable chargers, just so you can give one other company a monopoly on the turnpike. So make your voice heard if you're so compelled, and if there's a silver lining, it's that over the past 3 years, the number of Tesla's replacement stalls, which are 116, actually outpaces how many stalls are being decommissioned. You gotta love politics. This video was shared. The user said they were on FSD and they had a green arrow turning left, and as you see, FSD braked to avoid that car that flew through the intersection running their red light. And this right here is why I always say, even if you have the green light, always double check both directions because this type of thing happens. And not to be dramatic, but this is the type of collision that if it were to happen, could have led to a fatality. So potentially one life saved that will never be reported. Speaking of FSD, if you did not see this video of FSD being stress tested in China, basically in the mountains on a dirt road, it's certainly worth sharing at least a clip. Now, sure, that's different than what we're used to, but for me, it's still this type of clip that is even more impressive with people and cars and motorcycles and traffic, more of a real world scenario that's a lot more common than a dirt road in the mountains. There was this air quotes exclusive article from Reuters today. All it said was that some Tesla executives were questioning Elon when he denied canceling the $25,000 EV project. This is the whole saga that took place last year. That's literally the only news they shared, the executives' concerns, which have not been previously reported. And then they went on to say some other Tesla executives were not concerned about Elon's post on X, the one that denied the cancellation of that project. They said Tesla likes to keep its product plans flexible to respond to market conditions. I'm just pointing this out because hopefully this month we will have the answer about what these more affordable vehicles really are, and we'll find out if any of them come close to a $25,000 price tag. And on this low-cost model, Warren Redlick did say he asked a friend who often knows inside Tesla details about the new, more affordable models. He said something fun is coming. So what does that mean? I don't know, but I'm certainly intrigued. And again, we will find out soon enough. When it comes to Tesla's sales data across the EU, we got data for the month of May, and it's still the same. In most countries, Tesla sales are down materially year over year. As a refresher, if you haven't been around, I've been waiting for June data and really more into Q3 to get a more clear picture on Tesla's true demand situation once they have most locations around the world with inventory to actually sell. Just to hit you with the numbers real quick, Sweden down 53% in May year over year, Portugal down 68%, Denmark down 31%, the Netherlands down 36%, Spain down 19%. But yes, there is a bright spot. Norway was up 213%. Naturally, people are clinging to that headline, but it's really only from 690 units up to just over 2,300 for this May. So yes, it's true. Tesla's sales in most European countries now January through May are down year over year with a few exceptions. And as we've covered, it's also true that most automakers are in the same boat with negative year-over-year sales. But yes, there are exceptions to that as well. For now, I'll just say it's really status quo. It's too early to determine how much of this is driven by brand damage that's going to last versus a shortage of supply from the changeover to the new Model Y. As soon as next month, when we start getting data for June, we'll start getting a better picture at that point. And as a reminder, it's really been this way for almost a year. If you're invested in Tesla stock, it's really no longer for annual deliveries. It's all about FSD, Optimus, and energy. Today, we learned that Tesla does not want to produce vehicles in India. The article did not say anything about why Tesla did not want to produce cars in India. All they really said was Tesla's immediate plan is to import cars into India, even though Elon has said time and time again that the tariffs on imported vehicles are still too high. A minister from India said, Tesla, we're not actually expecting interest from them. They're not interested in manufacturing in India. They're saying companies will be allowed to import a limited number of electric vehicles at a reduced rate of 15% versus the current 70%. But remember, that's if they commit to investing around $500 million to build EVs in the country, which apparently Tesla does not plan to do for now. I'm sure there are a number of reasons why Tesla doesn't want to make EVs in India. It could be all of the uncertainty around the policy with its EV program. India has been publicly negotiating with these automakers on EV duty rates now for the past few years. If Tesla were to make EVs in India, I'm sure it would want to localize the supply chain like it's done everywhere else, and that might be a pretty involved process for India, which has some traditional auto manufacturing, but the EV and tech side may not be as advanced. And as we've covered in the past, the EV infrastructure in India isn't really that far along. EV adoption in the region is still very low, and there are valid questions about what the demand will be like for Tesla vehicles in the current lineup at the current pricing. All that to say, for now, it sounds like we should not expect a Tesla factory to make EVs in India anytime soon. But for what it's worth, Tesla is still looking to hire 2 new vehicle operators for autopilot, both in India. Also today, we have India saying that they will soon start accepting applications under the EV incentive program that was unveiled in March last year. But I'm sharing this because it sounds like if Tesla does not plan to invest in a factory in India, then they're not going to get this discounted duty rate of 15%. Because again, to get that rate, you have to commit to investing in a factory in India. And listen, even if Tesla did commit to manufacturing there, they only get up to 8,000 cars every year that can be imported at that reduced rate. So 8,000 cars for a company that might do 1.6 to 1.7 million this year that really isn't even focused on pushing more metal right now, it's not that big of a deal. Now look, I get it. Should Tesla always be focused on pushing more metal? To some degree, absolutely, but you get the point I was trying to make. Tesla just has bigger fish to fry and bigger addressable markets to go after. And the word on the streets is that this EV policy from India could be a non-starter in terms of actually attracting new EV investment in the region, specifically manufacturing. Listen up, I'll be 36 here in less than 2 weeks, and the truth? I feel like I'm 22. I've had surgery on my calves for compartment syndrome. I've fractured my kneecap. I've busted up my Achilles. I've herniated a disc in my back to the point where I could not walk for days. Twice. I have Osgood-Schlatter's disease, and yet here I am doing any and all movements pain-free and with reasonable power. I need you all to know your body is adaptable, and no matter your age, you can start planting good seeds, and before you know it, you can feel like an entirely different person. And yes, I'm still fueling and refueling with AG1, the sponsor of this video. AG1 Next Gen is now live, the upgraded formula. I'm just encouraging you all to try it for a few months if you haven't already. It's a tasty, easy, quick way to get vitamins, minerals, and probiotics without spending hundreds of dollars on individual pills you would need to remember to take if you wanted to try to replace all of this nutritional goodness. If you use my link, you'll also get vitamin D3K2 in liquid form because it's more digestible that way, as well as some free travel packs that have been redesigned, making it much easier to pour. It's quite simple, guys. I push my body, and giving my body the fuel at the micronutrient level to carry out recovery and healing and to promote vitality is just essential, and I feel so much better when I focus on that through AG1 than when I don't. So if you'd like to check out the new and improved version, you can head to drinkag1.com/electrified linked below, or you can use the QR code on the screen. There was another article put out today from Bloomberg saying that Elon is pushing lawmakers to help clear a path for driverless vehicles. And there was some earlier limited reporting on this over the weekend. In recent weeks, Elon and people who work for him have been calling members of Congress directly to gather support. He has also been weighing in on revisions of a bill introduced on May 15th that would begin setting up a basic framework for autonomous vehicles. Options discussed include expediting the bill or presenting a more detailed measure similar to it before Congress's July 4th recess. They're saying this bill moves forward on decade-old DOT recommendations and is designed to identify all essential needs for commercial-scale AV deployment. Major policy decisions on AVs are long overdue. As a reminder, as we touched on late last year, right now, as the rules are, Tesla's Cybercab, which won't really come into play until 2026 anyway, usage of that vehicle would be limited by federal rules that only allow special exemptions for a test batch of 2,500 vehicles because they wouldn't have a steering wheel or pedals. Congress has had various bills pushing to allow a range from 80,000 to 200,000 autonomous vehicles per manufacturer, but none have managed to pass through the Senate. The main sticking point at the time, there were no guarantees of how the legal liability would be managed. And back to the present day, lawmakers are working on revisions with plans to reintroduce the bill within the next few weeks. So what this means is sometime in June, we might get an updated look at what this federal legislation for autonomous vehicles could look like. I do want to keep my expectations in check, but hearing that they might expedite this bill is encouraging, so perhaps there is a world where somehow this could go into effect as soon as sometime next year. Jan found this video on Reddit of over 1,800 Jaguar I-Paces outside of the new Waymo and Magna factory in Arizona. I saw some people thinking this meant there would now be 2,000 more Waymo vehicles being added to the fleet soon, but no, only 114 of these vehicles are actually fitted with Waymo's sensor technology. And this is old news as of last year, but I'm guessing a few people may not know the Jaguar I-Pace is no longer even being produced. So what will really happen here is these roughly 1,800 vehicles will eventually be outfitted with Waymo's sensor suite over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, and these vehicles will join Waymo's current fleet of about 1,500. So as we've said, by the end of 2026, Waymo is likely to have somewhere around 3,500 to 4,000 vehicles on the road. And most of those vehicles will be Jaguar I-Paces, but some of them are likely to be from Zeekr and also Hyundai. Don't forget that partnership where they plan to use Ioniq 5s. And I have to say this, I think as Tesla fans, many people always try to dunk on Waymo and put down its accomplishments as a way to try to build Tesla up. And I totally get it because the media and most people don't understand the differences. I have obviously done it myself, but I've also tried to make the point clear that I am rooting for Waymo and they are accomplishing things that I think deserve at least some credit. Sure, they're not yet profitable, but let's not forget it took Tesla almost a decade to get to profitability. And as this chart shows, Waymo is absolutely stealing market share from both Lyft and Uber. Now, I will say this source is Yipit Data and they've put out some very questionable things when it comes to Tesla, but I'm sharing because this can actually be based on market data. So in terms of estimated market share for Waymo in the San Francisco market, they have gone from effectively 0 up to over 25%. This in less than 2 years. So in this market, Waymo has already surpassed Lyft, and fast forward another 12 months and Waymo will likely be surpassing Uber. Now sure, that trend could change as Uber tries to implement these autonomous vehicles on its own network, but Chamath made the point many of us have been saying. This is less about Uber or Lyft and more about a desire to ride alone without a person you don't know who can overhear conversations or interrupt quiet contemplation. Driverless is the experience of the future. The question is if the Uber or Lyft apps can provide enough intermediary value to remain relevant when this experience is omnipresent. And I don't need to say it, but separately, this becomes an obvious win for Tesla once they ramp. Chamath said, "It seems on the surface this will become a technology foot race between Waymo and Tesla, and neither will have a deep incentive to work with other apps once they fully understand the consumer dynamic that prefers driverless versus driver and as costs come down." And you guys know I would strongly oppose the sentiment that it's going to be a foot race between Waymo and Tesla because in my eyes, it's not even a race. And I will say it's going to take another 12 to 18 months for people to realize that there's not really a race here and that Tesla is so far ahead. And obviously not because they're offering X number of paid rides now, but because of how fast they're going to be able to get to that point once everything comes together. So for now, props to Waymo for making great progress and really helping thousands of customers get mobility back. But if they don't find a way to turn profitable in the next 12 to 18 months, while Tesla starts its Pac-Man game of this rideshare market across the country, and if Tesla beats on cost for all of the reasons we've talked about over the past 5+ years, then this trend for Waymo is likely to flip to a Lyft-based trend once Tesla enters these markets. Now, will there be some customers that are loyal to Waymo because they trust it and have been using it? Absolutely. But if Tesla materially undercuts the cost and has vehicles available in a shorter time frame, then over time, customers will pick up on that and likely switch, especially if these consumers are able to travel outside of Waymo's geographic limitations, which yes, will take time for Tesla to accomplish, but if this federal framework is put in place and the rollout goes well, 2026, we might be having that conversation. Tesla Charging had an official call out. They said congestion fees only apply when the site is full or close to full and you get notified. This helps free up stalls in the rare cases of queuing. We will make it more clear on the touchscreen. Elon had an interesting reply to Sawyer today. Sawyer said Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas predicts the physical work conducted by billions of humanoid robots may require over 4,000 terawatt hours of incremental annual electricity demand, roughly equal to one full US electric grid. Well, Elon replied to that saying way more. If for some reason you needed any more reason to be bullish on Megapacks, AI data centers, Optimus, and Tesla Energy, there you go. The demand and flywheel effect of these business lines is going to be a sight to see over the next 5+ years. Tesla has filed for another trademark, this time for Tesla Robotaxi, because remember last time, just Robotaxi was denied. So this would lead me to believe that Tesla is not going to appeal that prior decision, although they might. Maybe they're just trying to get one of these approved, if not both. Tesla now has an official tow package for the Model 3 live on the website for $1,765. After all of the Tesla turnover talk we've seen over the years, I think this was pretty cool. Elon said this tweet 9 years ago was how I started the Autopilot Now AI team at Tesla. Ashok, who now leads the team, was the first person I interviewed. Milan, who leads Optimus, also joined very early. Many of the key people in Tesla AI have been there from the beginning. Tesla stock closed the day at $342.69, down 1.09%, while the NDX was up 0.71%. The volume was 25% below the average. Don't forget, check out AG1 Next Gen, linked below for those interested. And as always, thanks for supporting the channel in that way. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X, linked below. And a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.